Welcome to the Stellar Vault. Say hi in the comments to awaken the archive. Then like, subscribe, and let the tale begin.
The moment Ryan Voss opened his eyes, humanity was already gone. The chronobarrier around his pilot chair flickered in a dying lattice of blue shards, each fragment dissolving into static before it touched the floor of the cockpit. Silence pressed against the hull. Thick, unnatural, the kind that followed catastrophe rather than preceded it. His ship's systems groaned as if awakening from a nightmare, light stuttering through confused diagnostics. 30 seconds. That was all the buffer he had bought himself. He didn't know it yet, but those 30 seconds were the fracture. The sliver of time that preserved the world he remembered, just as another was written over it. The ship's systems had triggered the chronobarrier for a routine landing, and in doing so, shielded him from what rewrote the planet below. Nothing burned. Nothing screamed. The Nashur had come and gone, silent geometry wrapped in crystalline limbs, their obsidian ship splitting the vacuum like fractures in reality itself. Earth came into view below. Blue oceans, white clouds, continents exactly where they should be. Nothing looked wrong. When the ship descended through the atmosphere, the landing protocols didn't match the ones he'd used for years. The orbital beacon frequencies were different. The automated voice guiding him down was calm, melodic, unfamiliar. And the landing platform that rose beneath him, he had never seen before. No naval insignias, no defense structures, no perimeter drones, no officers waiting. Just a smooth, featureless reception terrace, minimalist, quiet, pristine. The landing pad of Neural Strand Hub 01 opened with polished precision. Ryan stepped out, expecting the thick, salty humidity of Florida's coast. Instead, he breathed in cool, mountain-dry air. Thin, crisp, wrong for the region entirely. No ocean scent, no warm breeze. No one questioned his landing. No one even looked up. Just the sterile calm of a place that had never known shore winds at all. His pulse stumbled. People crossed the plaza ahead, quiet, orderly, polite. Their steps matched in tempo. Their conversations were brief, efficient, without the sparks of argument or excitement. No laughter, no frustration. Just calm. A woman passed near him, expression gentle and hollow. Ryan stopped her. "Excuse me, where's the Defense Council headquartered now?" She blinked, puzzled, as if he had asked her to name a color that didn't exist. "What council?" Her smile was mild, indulgent. "I'm sorry. I've never heard those words before. Is this for a performance? Some sort of improv group?" Ryan's stomach tightened. He pointed toward the mountains. "What about the coastal plains that used to be here?" "Coastal plains?" The woman tilted his head. "You mean the ones 3,000 kilometers south? They've always been there. Where else would they be?" Ryan felt his chest tighten. "Sorry, I'm confused. Who coordinates off-world security? Orbital defense? Contact protocols?" The woman laughed softly. Not mocking. Amused, the way someone laughed at a harmless eccentric. "Oh no, don't tell me you joined those ufology clubs. They're entertaining, but you shouldn't take them seriously. Extraterrestrials? Space threats? That's all fiction." She moved on, humming quietly to herself. "Okay," he muttered. "What the hell happened while I was gone?" He had no answer, no memory. No clue that anything unnatural had ever touched the world. All he knew was this: Earth looked the same, and absolutely nothing else did. He decided to get back to the landing pad. There, he circled the landing pad twice before he spotted the entrance console. It was a seamless white archway with a single embedded sensor, the kind of minimalist design he had only ever seen in concept trials. No security officers, no scans, no challenge codes, just an open door. He approached cautiously, and the door slid aside with a soft note of recognition. A man stepped out to meet him. Mid-40s, clean gray tunic, dark hair cut to a regulation that didn't match any regulation Ryan knew. His face was calm. Too calm. Not cold. Not unfriendly. Just flat, as if every emotion had been pressed smooth. "Pilot Ryan 429, the man said warmly, with the cadence of someone reciting a scheduled line. "You're right on time." Ryan froze. His designation had never contained numbers. He had never been 429 anything. The man offered a polite, practiced smile. "Maintenance crews will take your vessel from here. You've logged 28 continuous flight hours. Rest protocols require you to disembark." Ryan opened his mouth to speak, but the man continued as if reading from a script already completed. "Your cab is waiting. Your compensation has been processed." He extended a slim datapad, gently glowing. "Please confirm receipt and enjoy your cycle." Compensation? Ryan stared at the datapad. His name, Ryan Voss, appeared at the top, followed by a string of numbers and symbols formatted in a style he didn't recognize. He signed automatically, more out of shock than agreement. The pad chimed and dispensed a small, rectangular card. Smooth metallic surface, soft blue sheen. Credits, he guessed. But the design was nothing like Terran currency. The man gestured toward a line of waiting vehicles, carved from the same pale material as the platform. "Your transport is the third on the right," he said. "If Command needs anything, they'll reach out. There's nothing further required from you today." Ryan tried to steady his voice. "Sorry, you said Command? Which one?" The man blinked once, pleasantly confused. "Why? Central Administration, of course." He tilted his head. "Are you feeling unwell, pilot?" "No," Ryan said quickly. "Just long flight." "I understand. Please enjoy the rest of your cycle." The man stepped away, leaving Ryan alone on the gleaming platform with a card of unfamiliar currency and a designation he had never owned. Everything about this world treated him as if he belonged, but to a version of him that had never existed. Ryan slipped the card into his pocket and walked toward the waiting cab, every instinct tight as a wire. Whatever this place was, it knew his name, but not him. The cab door lifted with a soft whisper as Ryan approached. Inside, the cabin glowed with gentle white light. No controls, no manual interface, no pilot. The vehicle recognized him immediately. "Welcome, Ryan 429, it chimed. "Destination, Residential Axis 3? Ryan paused. "Show me the route." A hollow projection unfolded from the ceiling in elegant lines. Clean avenues, tiered terraces, serene parks arranged in flawless geometric order. None of it existed in his memory. Every district name was foreign. Every landmark unfamiliar. The cab interpreted his silence as approval. "Confirmed. Beginning transit." It lifted smoothly from the platform, gliding over the plaza below. Ryan leaned forward, studying the world as it unfurled beneath him. People moved like a single, gentle current. Calm, orderly, unhurried. Market stalls displayed goods arranged in perfect symmetry. Children played beneath sculpted towers that curved like grown crystal. He watched the skyline shift. There were no advertisements, no crowds, no guards, no drone patrols, no clutter, no friction. It was beautiful and wrong. Too curated, too synchronized, too careful. Humanity didn't build cities like this. Humanity didn't live like this. Then a billboard slid past. 72 years of perfect continuity. Humanity's age of correct harmony. He pressed his face to the window, trying to read it again, but it was already gone. "What happened here?" he whispered. No answer came. The cab continued its quiet descent into a district shaped in impossibly precise circles. Every courtyard mirrored the next. Every tree stood the same height. Every window reflected the same soft gold tint. Perfect. Unnaturally perfect. When the cab touched down, its voice remained serene. Transit complete. Enjoy your cycle. Ryan 429. The door slid open into a peaceful residential walkway lined with identical homes. People waved pleasantly as they passed, their smiles mild and effortless. Ryan didn't return the gesture. He stood there, feeling the weight of a world he didn't recognize, yet insisted it recognized him. The breeze shifted, carrying the scent of something faintly floral. He didn't know the plant. He didn't know the layout. He didn't know the rules. He didn't know anything here. And then he noticed it. A small kiosk near the path, displaying a rotating plaque. An inscription passed across its screen in soft white letters. 72 years of perfect continuity. Humanity's age of correct harmony. Ryan stared. Correct. Continuity. Harmony. The same words he'd seen on the billboard, sounding less like a promise and more like a cage made of glass. He reached out and touched the plaque. The surface was warm, almost alive. The world around him hummed with quiet order. Ryan swallowed hard. Something had happened to Earth. People didn't know it. And he had no idea why he alone stood outside whatever this continuity was. The cab had drifted away. The walkway ahead stretched into calm, artificial peace. Ryan took one step forward. Whatever erased the world he knew had left him behind, and he intended to find out why. Ryan followed the walkway until it split into a series of gentle curves, each path nearly identical to the next. His cab had instructed him toward Residential Axis 3, and signs along the corridor glowed softly to guide him. Every home was built from pale white stone, each with the same flawless angles, the same leafless ornamental trees lining the entrance. His assigned door recognized him instantly. "Welcome home, Ryan 429, it chimed. He hesitated. The door slid open anyway. The interior was immaculate, neat, colorless, balanced, like someone had designed comfort by consulting a mathematics textbook instead of a person. A set of shoes sat by the entrance, his size, not his style. A soft gray coat hung on the wall hook. He had never seen it before. He stepped inside. The living room held a low table, a cushioned platform for seating, and a series of framed images along the wall. Photographs of him. At least, of a version of him. A Ryan sitting on park benches he'd never seen, smiling beside co-workers he'd never met, standing in front of buildings he didn't recognize. Perfectly composed, perfectly curated, perfectly false. He opened a drawer, neatly folded clothes he would never have bought, all muted tones, no color, no variation. A small device rested on the desk, sleek, silver, shaped like a laptop, but thinner than paper. He opened it. The interface booted instantly, bright and polished. Its menu offered only 3 options: music, films, cycle tasks, nothing else. He tried to open a browser. A pleasant tone chimed. Global net access restricted. Clearance level required. Strategic tier. He stared at the message. No, that wasn't real. Every person, every street vendor, every kid with a wristband has internet access. Basic connection wasn't a privilege. It was like air, like gravity. Unrestricted, unquestioned. Nobody lives without internet. He tried to check the news. Nothing. He tried again. Tried routing through the diagnostics interface. Tried opening a secondary panel, even voice commands. Same soft refusal. Insufficient clearance, Ryan 429. Contact your supervisor if you believe this is an error. Supervisor? He didn't even know what job he supposedly had. The room felt colder now. No net, no feeds, no open lines. Nothing. as if the world had been put behind glass, and he was just there to look through it. He turned back to the screen, checked his cycle tasks. The schedule populated instantly. 8 a.m. Arrival at Civic Harmonization Office. 9 a.m. Assigned duty. Sector data sorting. 5 p.m. Personal recreation period. 9 p.m. Rest cycle. A job. A location. A full workday waiting for him. He had never heard of the Civic Harmonization Office. His real job had involved temporal research, defense coordination, a few orbital flights each year, and threat analysis. This one involved nothing he recognized. His throat tightened as he scanned the apartment again. A stranger's life, tailored for him, waiting for him. He needed information, anything real, anything untouched. He left the apartment and followed the street signs toward the Public Knowledge Annex, which, according to the soft voice directory kiosk, was the primary repository of educational materials for all ages. The building was massive, bright and full. Families wandered between shelves. Elders read in quiet corners. Children sat in circles around softly humming educational terminals. Everyone seemed content, as if knowledge had been redesigned into something that never challenged, never disturbed, never provoked. Ryan approached the front desk. The librarian smiled, an older woman with silver hair braided neatly behind her shoulders. "Hello," she said warmly. "What can I help you find today?" "I'm looking for information on the period before the Age of Correct Harmony," Ryan said, "particularly global events from the late—" Her expression didn't change, but her tone softened. "Oh, that volume is currently on loan." "Only one?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "It's a very short record. The years before continuity were uneventful, of course. Not much to archive." She looked apologetic, as if the lack of information were mildly inconvenient, but nothing more. "You're welcome to explore the history section, though. We have thousands of volumes." He thanked her and walked toward the rows of neatly aligned books. He pulled one at random. Global Cartography, Unified Territories Edition. He spread it open. Russia and America were no longer countries. They were listed as regions 4 and 5 of the Unified Northern Territory. He blinked and grabbed another book. World Cultural Leaders of the Last Century. He skimmed the timeline. No Lincoln, no Roosevelt, no Churchill, no Kennedy. He checked another. No Elvis, no Michael Jackson. John Lennon was listed as a local educator in Region 5, with no mention of music at all. He found one that mentioned the Great Navigations, the Age of Discovery, abridged edition. Christopher Columbus had never existed. The Americas were peacefully integrated coastal territories discovered gradually through natural migration. Ryan slowly lowered the book. His pulse thudded in his ears. He moved to a different shelf, pulling volume after volume, each one a quiet mockery of the world he remembered. Wars that never happened, nations that never rose, leaders that never lived. Culture reduced, softened, flattened. Ambition replaced with serenity. History rewritten into a dull, obedient timeline. A universe with no conflict, no daring, no chaos, no human fire. He stood there surrounded by shelves of lies, each one tidy, pleasant, and utterly wrong. He placed the book back and whispered to himself, "This isn't a piece, it's a rewrite." But no one nearby reacted. A child laughed softly with her mother. 2 elders read in silence. The world around him carried on, calm and unaware. Ryan closed his eyes. He didn't have internet. He didn't have clearance. He didn't have allies. But he had something this world had tried to erase. Memory. And he intended to use it. The Civic Harmonization Office sat at the far edge of the district, a tall structure of white stone and soft, curved edges. It looked less like a workplace and more like a monument to calm. Ryan approached with the same unease he felt at his assigned apartment. Everything was too clean, too symmetrical, too controlled. The door recognized him instantly. "Good morning, Ryan 429, it chimed. "Proceed to work Sector B." Sector B occupied the third floor, a wide hall lined with identical desks, identical chairs, identical workers. Everyone moved with the same quiet precision. No conversation, no tension, no real work being done, just the faint rhythm of soft typing. A young man with blonde hair and a serene, almost dreamy smile approached. "Welcome," he said gently. "You must be the new Sector B sorter." "Sorter," Ryan repeated, tasting the word. "Yes," the man nodded. "You'll be reviewing and arranging daily civil metrics. Very important work." He gestured to an empty desk. "Here is your station." Ryan sat. His terminal displayed a steady stream of numerical entries: population counts, transit percentages, food distribution metrics. All perfect, all repetitive, all suspiciously uniform. He clicked deeper. Each file looped back into itself. Every pathway ended on the same curated summaries, nothing connected to anything real. "Does this data go to someone?" he asked the blond man. "Oh, yes," the man replied with warm certainty. "It contributes to harmonization." "How?" Ryan pressed. The man blinked, as if the question itself were strange. "It just does," he said simply, and returned to typing. Ryan tried the woman beside him. "What do you do with the sorted data?" She smiled, soft and rehearsed. "Sorting is harmony. Harmony is wellness." Ryan leaned back. This wasn't an office. It was containment, a behavioral paddock. He minimized his empty task window and began exploring the system directory. Most menus gently redirected him back to approved pages, but one icon in the bottom corner didn't. A misalignment. A flaw. He clicked it. A hidden directory opened. Rows of names, dates, notes. His pulse tightened. He scrolled to Vivios. Ryan, R. 429. He opened it. A neat entry filled the screen. Cognitive pattern. Stable. Emotional range. Acceptable. Previous adjustments. 3. Compliance. Score, 99%. Observation level. Passive. Ryan stared. Previous adjustments. 3. He had never undergone anything. Ever. Not in this world. Not in his real one. He scrolled down. A new line appeared, time-stamped only seconds earlier. Variance detected. Begin active observation. Ryan froze. Across the floor, dozens of workers continued typing with soft, tranquil focus. None reacted. None looked up. None sensed anything amiss. But the system had noticed him. Not the people, not the co-workers. The system. He closed the file carefully and reopened the harmless metric sorting screen. He worked in quiet mimicry for the next hour, matching the same gentle motions as everyone else. At midday, he requested a break. Instant approval. He stepped outside. The plaza was peaceful. Sunlight filtered through sculpted trees, casting perfect shadows on perfect paths. He sat on a bench, trying to steady the churn in his chest. Footsteps approached. An older woman, silver hair, posture soft but dignified, walked slowly along the path. She hesitated as she passed him, studying his face. "You look," she paused, "different today." Her voice carried no accusation, just soft curiosity. Ryan's breath caught. "Different how?" She looked down, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have bothered you." "No," he said quickly. "Please, tell me." She hesitated, searching for words. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "I see people who shine a little brighter. as if they don't fit the world around them. A faint, wistful smile touched her lips. It sounds foolish, I know. It doesn't, Ryan said. Her gaze drifted, unfocused. I also dream sometimes. A place with noise, crowds, too many colors, too many voices. She almost laughed. Can you imagine that? Messy. Ryan's pulse hammered. What do you remember from those dreams? He whispered. Oh, nothing specific, she said quickly, reassuring herself. They fade by morning. They always fade. She adjusted her bag. Enjoy your day, dear. She walked away, merging into the gentle flow of citizens drifting through the plaza. Ryan sat motionless. Someone else felt the fracture. Not fully, not clearly. But the world wasn't airtight. Not perfect. Not impenetrable. Something was leaking through. He exhaled slowly, eyes fixed on the path where she'd disappeared. The system was watching him. But now, he knew something just as important. The system had cracks. And that was where he would begin. Morning arrived without sound. No alarms. No neighbors. No distant traffic. Just the soft, gentle hum of the perfect world. Ryan brewed coffee, letting the warmth fill his hands. He inhaled the scent, trying to steady the sense of wrongness that had settled into every corner of his mind since the library. He needed a moment, just one moment, of something familiar. He dropped a slice of bread into the toaster. A quiet click, nothing more. He turned toward the wall display, letting the Harmony broadcast roll over him. A smiling anchor spoke with serene precision. Another beautiful cycle, citizens. Peace remains uninterrupted. Productivity remains optimal. Harmony remains absolute. The voice was silk and static. Ryan sipped his coffee. For a handful of seconds, nothing moved. Then, brief burst of static. He jerked toward the kitchen. The toaster glowed white-hot inside, a hard, unnatural light that didn't belong in any appliance built by human hands. A violent spark snapped upward. Flames shot out of the top like a blowtorch. What the? He grabbed the fire extinguisher beside the fridge and yanked the pin. He squeezed the handle. Nothing. No spray. No pressure. No resistance. The extinguisher was empty. His heart kicked hard. The fire spread impossibly fast, running along the wall as though tracing lines pre-drawn beneath the paint. The composite panel behind the toaster warped outward, glowing red. Heat rolled across the kitchen floor in a wave. This wasn't an accident. He hit the emergency controls on the wall. The display blinked once, then flashed a polite message. Fire suppression offline. Routine maintenance. Please remain calm. Calm? Smoke thickened instantly, rising to the ceiling like a dark tide. Flames licked toward the cabinets, ignition moving with surgical precision. He grabbed his communicator and tried emergency response. A chime answered him. We are sorry. Emergency channels are temporarily down for a brief maintenance cycle. Estimated time, 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience. 5 minutes. He would be dead in 1. Ryan's military instincts locked into place. He sprinted for the front door, slamming his hand against the panel. No response. He entered the numeric code. Nothing. The scanner flashed once, then dimmed, as if it didn't recognize him, as if he didn't exist. Smoke curled around his legs, heat pressed against his back like a rising wall. He spun toward the terrace. The sliding door was closing, automatically, its frame glowing faintly with an active lock. No, you don't! He threw his shoulder into it. The metal groaned. The mechanism resisted. He hit it again. And again. On the 4th impact, the frame buckled half an inch. Just enough. He forced his way through into the open air. A wave of smoke poured out after him, swallowed by the sky. He wheeled toward the edge and looked down. Far below, the courtyard shimmered in the heat rising from the burning building. Too far to jump. Death waited at the bottom. He turned right. The neighbor's terrace, close enough. Maybe. His muscles tightened. Fire roared behind him. He gripped the railing, feeling the metal heat against his palms. One breath. He ran, boots hammering the tiles, and jumped. For a moment, he hung over the void, the world silent beneath him. Then his hand slammed into the neighbor's railing. He slipped, skin tearing against the metal, ribs smashing the edge. But he caught it. He forced himself over the rail and collapsed on the tiles, coughing, eyes streaming from smoke. Inside, a sliding door opened. A teenager stared at him, frozen mid-step, wide-eyed at the sight of a soot-covered stranger sprawled on their balcony. Ryan pushed himself upright. Sorry. Your place. Fire. Need to... He couldn't get the words out. The teen said nothing. No fear, no questions. Just a calm, almost mechanical step backward, silently granting passage. Ryan staggered into the apartment, across the pristine floor, through the silent hall, and into the stairwell. He ran, down 1 flight, 2, 10. Smoke pulled after him like a fading shadow. He burst through the ground-level exit, and the world exploded. Boom! The entire building erupted into a column of fire and shrapnel. Heat slammed into his back, throwing him forward onto the pavement. He covered his head as glass rained down, clattering in soft crystalline notes. When he lifted his head, breath shaking, the street was filling with residents. Calm, serene, smiling faintly. A public announcement echoed overhead. A minor structural fault has been addressed. No citizens were harmed. Your environment remains safe. Ryan stared at the burning skeleton of what had been his home. He had seen movement inside. He had heard screams. Dozens, maybe hundreds, had been trapped. And the world spoke as if nothing had happened. As if lives were numbers. As if death were an inconvenience. As if reality could be rewritten as easily as a line of text. His hands trembled. He needed medical attention. He needed information. He needed answers. And he knew exactly where to get them. The hospital was quiet. Too quiet. Nobody in the desk. No nurses in a hurry. No frantic families. Just long white corridors, humming with soft overhead light. No one stopped him. No one asked why he was burned, bleeding, limping. People walked past him with gentle nods, as if seeing injuries was as ordinary as passing a street lamp. He found an unoccupied treatment room and sealed the door. Opened cabinets. Found antiseptics, synthetic bandages, and a syringe of painkiller. Standard supplies. But enough. His hands shook as he cleaned burned skin and pulled glass from his arm. He hissed through his teeth, sweat mixing with soot. When the pain dulled into a low throb, he turned to the room's terminal. It blinked awake instantly. Public access. But Ryan had no interest in public files. He pulled the side panel off the device, exposing a web of fiber cables. Spliced 2 together with a surgical clamp. Forced an override. The interface flickered. Then a new folder appeared at the bottom of the screen. At first glance, it looked innocuous. Cultural archive. Short reels. The icon resembled a social media logo. Something like TikTok. Something like an old app from a world that didn't exist anymore. Ryan clicked it. The screen went black. Then a shaky video began to play. A human holding a camera, screaming, running. Above them, ships descending like obsidian crescents. A pulse of white radiance spread across the sky, washing over cities. Buildings dissolved and reformed into new shapes. Forests vanished, roads unmade, land reshaped. The message came through in every language Ryan knew, and many he didn't. A calm, alien voice. Humans. We are the Nashur congruents. You are chosen for elevation. Your flaws have been corrected. Your contradictions resolved. We gift you perfect continuity. We wish you a long and harmonious existence." The video ended with a final frame, Earth reshaped, silent, orderly, empty of everything he remembered. Ryan leaned back, breath shallow. This wasn't a glitch, wasn't a metaphor, wasn't propaganda. This was the truth. The aliens had forced a new world onto humanity and buried the evidence under layers of perfect lies. He closed his eyes, swallowing the cold rising in his chest. Now he knew what had happened. Now he knew what had been taken. And now he had to act. He just didn't know how. The clip from the hospital terminal had shaken him, but it wasn't enough. A glimpse. A warning. If that file had survived in a public archive, then deeper records might still exist, buried in forgotten systems, overlooked, unpurged. He needed to dig again, somewhere quieter, somewhere dumber. He decided to try something. Still limping, bandaged with improvised first aid, Ryan stepped out of the treatment room and headed toward the hospital lobby. The lobby glowed with the same gentle white serenity as the rest of this unnervingly calm world. No alarm sounded as Ryan limped inside, smelling faintly of smoke, his sleeve half charred, a burn tracing the back of his wrist, bandaged with quick, clumsy first aid. No startled glances, no questions, no urgency, only a soft, practiced greeting from the receptionist. "Treatment booths available in Bay 2. Please proceed at your leisure." No concern in her tone, no recognition of danger, just the same smooth, even cadence everyone used here, like every sentence had been filed down to a rounded edge. Ryan stepped past her, hiding the tremor in his hand. He scanned the corridor. Identical doors, identical lights, identical quiet. A world sanded flat. Bay 2 slid open with a gentle hiss. Inside waited a medical pod, shaped from smooth white alloy, its interior lit with a calm blue glow. A faint herbal scent drifted from the vents, something meant to soothe. He didn't sit. Not yet. He knelt by the console first. The port beneath it was a simple diagnostic link. Too simple. Machines like this weren't meant to be open. They weren't meant to assume the user had opinions. Or curiosity. Ryan pulled a small military-grade connector from inside his boot, a relic from a timeline this world didn't remember, and jacked it in. He had a theory. If this world had been rewritten rather than rebuilt, then the original framework might still be there, buried, obscured, but not completely erased. If he was right, somewhere beneath the polished surface, the truth was waiting, fragmented, hidden, imperfect, but still real. The console flickered. For the first time since arriving in this rewritten Earth, Ryan saw something unscripted. Error. Legacy files detected. Permission. Unresolved. Integrity. Partial. Bingo. The continuity had not scrubbed everything. A big mistake. He slipped into the seat inside the med pod, letting it begin its automated burn treatment while he dragged the system deeper into its own buried layers. The pod hummed gently, spreading cool anesthetic across his skin. Behind the softness, the console crackled. Lines of corrupted text surfaced, broken code, half-erased protocols. File names collapsed into static. One fragment was still intact. Continuity deployment. Earth node. Ryan opened it. A tremor ran through the file, like the system itself recoiling from its own memory. Then the screen filled with shards of a video feed. A sky bruised silver. Cities warping like soft metal under invisible pressure. A wave of pale light rolling across continents. People staring upward, calm, serene, unaware their world was dissolving around them. And then, a voice. Not loud, not cruel. Measured, precise. We are the Nashur congruence. We gift you continuity. Static devoured the rest. Ryan's throat tightened. There it was. The first real truth since this nightmare began. A name. Not human. Not friendly. But not hateful either. A name spoken with the calm certainty of someone offering medicine, not realizing the dose would kill. The pod beeped softly, applying another layer of treatment over his burn. Ryan barely felt it. He pulled up the video's metadata, and everything got worse. Temporal signatures that contradicted themselves. Coordinates pointing to a place that didn't exist anymore. Waveform patterns repeating with fractal precision. An embedded rhythm identical to the faint harmonic he kept hearing in public spaces. The tone that made people relaxed, compliant, calm. Continuity wasn't a one-time rewrite. It was a pulse, a heartbeat under the world. And as Ryan traced one line of broken code, the hospital around him seemed to pause. The lights dimmed. The air thickened with a quiet hum. For a moment, everything held its breath. His vision blurred at the edges. A soft pressure coiled behind his eyes, gentle, like a hand smoothing down hair. A warmth slid through his thoughts, blanketing the sharp edges of fear and rage, coaxing them to lie flat. The whisper inside his mind wasn't words. It was instruction. Be calm. Be simple. Be corrected. His heartbeat stuttered. His memories flickered. He felt his thoughts being nudged toward tranquility. A perfect world needed perfect minds. Ryan gripped the sides of the pod, nails digging in. The burn on his arm flared, raw pain slicing through the haze. The pulse faltered. The warmth trembled, then recoiled. Emotion, messy, jagged, unpredictable, broke through the smoothing wave like a blade through silk. He gasped. Air rushed back into his lungs. The pod lights flickered twice, then steadied. The hum withdrew. The system had tried to rewrite him. He had polluted the rewrite with fear, confusion, anger, all the delicious chaos the Nashur couldn't process. They couldn't flatten him. He ripped the connector free and copied everything onto a portable drive before the console wiped itself clean. The moment he unplugged, the screen went blank, reset to its serene default. No trace, no evidence, only the data he carried. Ryan stepped out of the pod, his bandaged wrist throbbing. The corridor outside remained perfectly calm. A man walked past, humming softly. A child held a parent's hand with gentle obedience. A nurse floated down the hall, pushing a small cart, her expression serene. No one knew the world had just tried to erase him. When he reached the lobby, a massive public display flickered overhead. Continuity integrity, 100%. All citizens grateful for harmony. For a fraction of a second, 100% became 99.8%. Ryan stared at the number as it trembled. A crack. A tiny fracture in the perfect dome. Him. He stepped outside into the soft sunlight, gripping the data drive tightly. Now he had a name, a method, a weakness. And somewhere above this peaceful, artificial world, something alien now knew he was an anomaly. He whispered into the quiet street, "Come find me, then." The breeze carried the words away. But the crack remained, and it would be growing. Ryan's new apartment waited with the same quiet, polished perfection as every structure in this rewritten world. His employer had reassigned him without hesitation. No questions, no paperwork, no concern that his previous home had burned to its foundations. The system simply replaced the loss, smoothing the disruption like a hand wiping dust from glass. The unit overlooked a public park, a manicured green square, curved walkways, families moving in gentle arcs, as if some unseen conductor dictated their pace. Soft, warm light drifted from the ceiling as Ryan stepped inside. The moment the door sealed behind him, he heard it. a low harmonic, barely perceptible but constant. He walked past the television. It emitted the same tone. The radio on the counter did too. Even the wall interface, a blank panel showing a tranquil pattern, pulsed with it. Every device, every channel, every public announcement, every billboard outside, all carried the same signature frequency. He stood still, listening. The harmonic wasn't sound. It was behavioral architecture, a frequency that pressed lightly at the edges of the human mind, smoothing, softening, aligning. A perfect cage with no bars. Of course, he murmured. The hospital metadata had hinted at it, but seeing it here, woven into daily life, made everything clear. Continuity wasn't just a rewrite. It was a maintenance cycle, a field cast across society, reinforced with millions of tiny subliminal signals. This was why no one panicked, why no one mourned the dead building, why no one questioned anything. They couldn't. The world kept them still. Ryan sat on the floor, unfastened his bag, and placed the data drive beside him. He needed to break the frequency, not destroy the city, not attack anyone. He needed to give humans room to feel. Because the Nashur had made one mistake. If they'd removed emotions entirely, humanity would have died. Instead, they dampened them, muted them, buried them. Emotions still existed. They were just locked beneath harmonic chains. And if he could disrupt that tone, he could wake them. He laid tools across the floor, simple things salvaged from the kitchen and maintenance closet from his job. Coils, metallic strips, conductive filaments. A salvageable audio modulator from the apartment speaker unit. Piece by piece, he built something that didn't look like a weapon. More like an instrument born from intuition and necessity. A hollow chamber, a tension line, oscillation coils, vibration plates, a resonant body the size of a small violin. Nothing beautiful, nothing elegant, but purposeful. He calibrated it using the alien metadata as reference, matching the stabilizer pattern, then inverting it, introducing the chaos the Nashur neural models couldn't process. The device vibrated faintly when he powered it. A whisper of discord. Not sound, a hairline fracture in harmony itself. He braced it against his knee. Tomorrow, he would take it to the park. Before dawn, he slipped outside. The world greeted him with its always perfect calm, soft golden light, early walkers greeting the day with mild smiles. His steps carried him onto the park's central path, beneath rows of identical trees. He stopped near the fountain, its water rising and falling in a rhythm too precise to be natural. This was the heart of the local broadcast grid. His readings confirmed it. He knelt, adjusted the tension line of the device, and activated it. The effect was immediate, but subtle. The harmonic tone from the environment wavered, only for a heartbeat, only for Ryan's trained senses. The fountain's water rippled out of sync. Birds hopping along the path paused, heads tilting. A man walking his dog blinked, losing the soft, absent smile the world gave him. A child dropped her toy, startled by something she couldn't name. Good. Ryan increased the output. The tone from the billboards trembled. Radio signals hiccuped. The public announcement system clicked faintly, as if confused by its own programming. Civilians looked around, not panicked, not awakened fully, but aware. Awareness. The first step toward emotion. He felt the push almost instantly, a soft wash of calm pressing against his mind, then growing firmer, a gentle certainty, a smoothing wave. The Nashur's pulse, trying to correct him, trying to push him back into alignment, trying to remove the disturbance. Ryan inhaled deeply. He didn't fight with fear or rage. He fought with contradiction. He let grief touch him. The memory of a family erased from time. but kept his expression still. He felt anger at a world stolen, but breathed slowly, peacefully. He felt awe at the beauty of real humanity, and paired it with the cold precision of a soldier's mind. Contradiction. Unpredictable. Unsymmetrical. A pattern the Nashur couldn't model, couldn't rewrite, couldn't flatten. Pressure built around his skull, an invisible hand trying to iron his emotions flat, and broke. The harmonic field retreated like a startled animal. The fountain surged violently, water slapping against the stone. The billboard flickered. The ambient speakers squealed as if choking. Then the park fell into a strange, imperfect quiet. And civilians began to truly feel. The man with the dog frowned, confusion deepening into something rawer. The child clung to her mother, eyes wide. Two teenagers exchanged startled, anxious whispers. Ripples. Small, unstable waves. The dissonance key hummed in Ryan's grip. He raised it slightly, increasing the frequency just another notch. A shimmer raced through the air. The largest billboard in the park froze. Then a symbol appeared on it. Fractal, shifting. Recursive. The same mark Rian saw in the hospital files. A Nashur node, not watching him, not judging, correcting. A voice, soft, emotionless, neither male nor female, spoke from the speakers. Return to harmony. Ryan lifted the dissonance key. No. He let his emotions rise, every one of them. Love for a world that had been rewritten. Grief for people who didn't know they were ghosts of themselves. Anger for everything stolen. Hope for everything that could return. Fear, joy, loss, defiance. The perfect storm of humanity. The node pulsed once, confused. Again, destabilized. Then, unable to reconcile the contradictory emotional signals, it collapsed in a burst of white static. The harmonic tone failed, completely. The park felt the shockwave. The world felt it. People gasped, suddenly capable of panic, fear, confusion, awe. Emotion cascaded outward like a dam breaking. Reality trembled. The trees shuddered and warped, flickering between two shapes, one from the perfect world, one from the real earth. Buildings wavered, their edges dissolving and reforming. The sky rippled like cloth caught in a storm. One of the mothers cried openly, not softly, but with a voice cracking under the weight of years she had never lived. The continuity number appeared briefly on a public screen. 100%, 91%, 64%, 27%, 8%. Then it vanished. The harmonic died. Silence. True silence. For the first time since the rewrite. In the remnants of the static, Ryan felt a last whisper from the Nashur. Not anger, not fear, but something like sorrowful logic. The air shifted. The false world began crumbling in layers, like glass peeling away from truth. Ryan stood in the center of the breaking park, the dissonance key humming in his hand, and whispered, "Good. Now let us be what we are." The fractures widened, and reality fell open. In front of Ryan's eyes, reality shivered. A soft, impossible tremor, as if the world itself inhaled sharply. The park around him blurred, edges softening like wet paint. The fountain warped, its perfect marble stretching sideways, then snapping back. Trees bent in wind that didn't exist. Then, glass cracked. A spiderweb of shimmering fractures raced outward through the air. Buildings rippled, their sterile surfaces melting like wax. Beneath them, something older stirred. Towers softened into uneven human structures. Perfect symmetry crumbled into real architecture, weathered stone, crooked balconies, plants spilling wildly from railings. The sky darkened, then brightened. Two atmospheres clashing in color and shape. People cried out, not in panic, but shock. A woman clutched her head, memories flooding back. A child stared at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. An old man collapsed to his knees, sobbing. Relief. Grief. Both. Ryan breathed in. Salt. Humidity. Ocean wind. The continuity city was dissolving. His world was returning. The skyline snapped into new focus. Terraces split apart to reveal a coastline bursting back into existence. White sand brushed his boots. The false crystalline buildings shattered, revealing boardwalk rails, kiosks, sun-faded steps, surfboards, cafes with peeling paint. A real beachfront city. Alive, imperfect, human. He turned toward the ocean. Two versions layered for a heartbeat, one still and perfect, the other wild, untamed. Then the false water vanished, replaced by crashing waves and thunderous surf. The world exhaled. Above, the sky bloomed in pale light. Not a weapon, a message. Nashur holographic forms hovered overhead, shifting silhouettes of light, projecting a recorded message in harmonics translated for every mind. Humanity, our gift was rejected. You are unstable, contradictory, uncontained. Continuity cannot sustain you. We restore your origin state. May your future hold the peace you cannot accept. No anger, no threat, only the regret of a failed cure. The message faded. The sky cleared. The last threads of continuity fell. Sand shifted under Ryan's boots, real, warm, sunlit. Wind tugged at his hair. A gull cried overhead, and it was beautiful. All around him, people collapsed, cried, held each other. Emotion flooded back after 72 stolen years. A teenager whispered, stunned, "It's all back. I remember my life." A woman pressed her hand to her chest. "I had a brother. I remember him." A man approached Ryan, eyes wide. You were at the center. The collapse, it started with you. You did this." Others gathered, not worshiping, recognizing. A father holding his son. "Who are you?" Ryan met his gaze, really looked. "Someone who remembered," he said. "That's all." The ocean breeze took the words. Behind him, continuity crumbled, leaving only the city that had always been. Traffic returned. Dogs barked. Someone yelled at a stalled car. Laughter broke loose. Music played from a bar that hadn't existed an hour ago. Life surged back, gloriously imperfect. Ryan closed his eyes. Waves, sand, sun. When he opened them, people were watching. Not in awe, but with gratitude. A woman whispered, "You brought humanity back." He shook his head. "No, humanity brought itself back. I just cracked the shell." He turned toward the sea, his sea, and felt something tighten in his chest. Something long gone. Hope. He took a breath, tasted salt and possibility. "Welcome back, Earth," he whispered. The wind carried it across the restored world. Humanity wasn't perfect. It was beautifully unfinished.